Hello everybody, welcome to Amsterdam. I'm back. I can see some of you are here, and just somebody say hi in the chat so I know that. Oh, Laurie, hello. Hi, Catherine. Madeline, welcome. Thanks for joining. See you soon. Trisha, hi. So let's get on with it. So I had a lovely holiday in South Africa. It was nice and warm. And thankfully for me, hey Martin from Canada, hi. Thankfully for me, it's become quite, well, not warm here. Hey Traveler AI, cool. Thanks for joining. Yeah, it was 16 degrees yesterday, in centigrade, obviously. Hi Kate. And it's maxing out at about 9 degrees now for the next while, which is very agreeable. So I had a bit of the winter, but I've come back to a very pleasant time. So we're on the Amstel today, and Martin, that bridge over there is called the Toronto Bridge. Hello, Mary Ellen. And Gary, of course. So yeah, that's the Toronto Bridge over there, since you're from Canada. And yeah, this is the Amstel River, sort of ambling towards Amsterdam. It really does amble. It's not a very fast-flowing river at all. It's a peat marsh river. And let me just span around here slowly. So the first big landmark on the Amstel River that we're going to cover today is this very wonderful hotel. It's called the Amstel Hotel, and it was sort of the grand dame of Amsterdam's hotels since it was built in 1867. It was commissioned by somebody called Samuel Sarfati, who was a doctor and a city planner, a really great man. He got involved in all sorts of things, like bakeries for the poor, even the public toilets and what have you. He was involved in. I live on a houseboat on the Amstel watching this live. Oh, how very cool, Leon. That's wonderful. Okay. Awesome. Hi, Gary. Yeah, so it was commissioned by Samuel Sarfati. He was inspired by the grand hotels of Paris and London. It's hosted much royalty over the years. People like Queen Elizabeth II stayed there, and Emperor Akihito, Audrey Hepburn, the Rolling Stones, Bono, well, bring the neighborhood down, Bill Clinton, Nelson Mandela. Hey Polly, hi. So yeah, lots of well-known people. It's very well known for its extremely impressive entrance hall and this lovely terrace. Where they have great afternoon teas, and most notable really in this conservatory area there is where I celebrated my wedding and had a sort of an afternoon mini wedding reception with champagne high tea before going on a private salon boat canal cruise. Very select one, just my mother-in-law and me and the witnesses, and of course Eric. But yeah, that's the Amstel Hotel. So great place. Okay, you found, and this is the Hogesluis. This is not Toronto Bridge. That's Toronto Bridge over there, by the way. That one over there. Okay, so funny little details on the bridge here. Very sweet, look at these. Sorry, and I'm waving you around a little bit. Oh, thanks Madeline, that was some time ago now. You see, this is the name of this bridge. It's called Hogesluis, which means high sluice or lock. You have an Amsterdam bridge in Toronto, excellent. And there's been no lobbying to rename them after American cities, I hope. Sorry, couldn't resist. And check out the wonderful detail on this building. Classical motifs. Hello, oh Jenny, you're in Malta, how cool. Sorry, Mary. Look at this lovely boat here. So, this is a stunning hotel. I always heard it said that when you get famous people in Amsterdam, famous people who want to keep a low profile, they make a big thing about arriving at the Amstel Hotel, and then they sort of stay there for a drink or something, and then sneak out onto a little boat like this, and then get delivered somewhere like the Dillon, which is a really nice boutique 5-star hotel. So that's one way of doing it. Okay, so let's head down the Amstel a little bit. Let's get run over. So you can see there are tram lines across this bridge, and these bridges all open. Oh yay, so let me concentrate here. Whoops. These bridges all open, okay, so to let the barges through, because this is a route where you get big barges coming down and right through a part of the city almost. So yeah, lots of houseboats on the Amstel. If you were here, in the 70s and you had the foresight to think, you know what, I'm just going to grab an old barge and bring it into town and moor it here, you really lucked out because they ended up being given permission to stay here permanently. Oh, and one thing I wanted to point out from this distance, sorry, let me go back here, because we're going to be talking about it soon, are these locks all the way across the river there, you see? So there are these barriers across the river, and they're actually locks that can shut off the entire flow of the river. We're going to talk about those in just a bit. So I love these funny old barges. It's nice to live on for a week, not too much longer though. Anyway, if those watching, I think there's 36 of you now, if you could like this video, that would be great. And they say that kind of boosts it and everything, you know the drill. And check out this wonderful wisteria here. Of course, it's far from in bloom, but it's actually quite beautiful, even just with this wonderful knottiness of it, even though there's no greenery. As the bicycles fly by. And there you go, it's won a little award for a beautiful green facade of a building. Thank you, Audrey. This is one way of parking a bicycle on a bench. I guess they don't put people sitting on their bench. Okay. A bit mean since it's in a public place. Right. Cute little green car, eh? It is, I've never seen such a big wisteria, actually. I noticed this when I was walking up here before the tour. Check out these stairs, and can you imagine that you had to walk up these stairs every time you wanted to go to your front door? You certainly get your steps in. Imagine just wanting to like pop out because you forgot something, you know. Goodness, these bikes come so fast. And there's a little bit of stained glass up there. I'm not going to walk up there with the camera because people get so funny about it, but I did actually take a photograph of that earlier, so there we go. At least if you walk out the door, that is what what you see, which is not unagreeable. So, how do we do this again? There we go. And this is one of my favorite little spots for photographs in the morning, when it's very, very still, because you get a reflection here of these buildings across. Yeah, it's not really a private entrance, Mary Ellen, because there's a bunch of front doors up there, so you do share it with quite a few people. Anyway, sharing is caring. Another nice view through here. Hello, Tom. I like the sun behind the buildings, the gingerbread house buildings. There you go, laundry day. Oh my goodness, I see a daffodil. How on earth did that happen? That's the first of the year for me. Wow. Okay, so our next landmark is the Amstel Sluizen, and that means the Amstel locks. And those are what I showed you from a distance over there. So the first Amstel locks were built in 1673. Hello. 1673, there were locks built across the river here. And the idea of this, because the river is flowing that away, but in those years, Amsterdam was, large parts of Amsterdam anyway, were tidal. So you would actually get the high tide potentially coming up the river, because it's an extremely slow-moving river. And they didn't want that. So that's why the locks were made originally. So basically keep salt water from flowing upstream. And then a bit later the orange locks were put in place, and that stopped the tidal element to Amsterdam. Thank you for the donation that just came through, much appreciated. That kind of cut off any tidal element. And actually, let me just zoom in here and show you. You can see these are the lock gates there that are on a pivot, so they can swivel and close like that. And then what happened later, even after the orange locks came in, is that there were big pumps that could pump water into the city, into the canal system from the still tidal Zuiderzee. And again, that would push salt water up potentially push salt water up the Amstel River. So the locks had that function of preventing that, because that would poison the farmlands, and we don't want that. Wow, where you have daffodils and crocuses, lots of frogs, awesome. So yeah, that's what the locks are for. And there was also a toll house where they could have people, standing and then demanding a toll from barges that were going to use this route into the city. And right in the middle here is a funny little building. That's right in the middle lock there. It's only reachable by boat, and that's one of these suite rooms, hotel suites. Kind of quirky. I don't know how much it's actually used, because it's like €1,000 a night, which seems a little excessive, frankly. I'd rather stay at the Amstel Hotel. But yeah, a lot of the bridges and the old bridge watchers' houses have been made into these quirky sort of hotel suites. And I just about forgot, because our focus is in the other direction. We head up here. Those of you who know Amsterdam well will know what's behind me. Well, thank you, Traveller AI, for your very generous donation. Much appreciated. Yeah, okay, so here, for those of you who know, you may even have been here before, to what's behind me. I certainly have. And it is the Carre. C-A-R-R-E. And I'm too close to it to show you the entire building. So let's see. One of Amsterdam's most famous theatres, and it was originally built as the Circus Carre in the late 1800s. That was by Oscar Carre. And this one opened in 1887. Very over-the-top, detailed, classical style. Before that, there was actually a wooden structure here, and for Carre's Royal Dutch Circus. And as you know, I'm talking rubbish, that was nearby, it was just up the road. There was a fire in a ring theatre in Vienna, okay, and that was in 1881, and this killed 400 people. So stricter building regulations commenced, and this is what triggered the building of the Carre Theatre. So a much safer venue for people to attend performances, which is a good thing. Yes, the Carre. So let's have a closer look at it, some of the details on it. I could probably just do, one day I probably will do a whole tour on this and look at every little bit and get some photos from inside, but for now, thanks Madeline for the coffees. And Julie, okay, they're rolling in. I'm having a caffeine rush. Okay, so let's check out the comedy and tragedy. I saw the Book of Mormon here, and I was booked in for various things. Some of the IDFA, the International Documentary Festival, Amsterdam, also uses the screenings here. It's a lovely venue, it's very plush and nice. So, check out the detail on these columns here. I very much doubt Macbeth will make it here. It's much too grand. Okay, so this is, it's quite interesting to see the lengths that people go to or are required to go to maintain the facade of a building. So these buildings behind have been completely demolished, and this massive structure, as you can see, there's nothing behind through the window there. But I can see that there's a neo-Renaissance facade, and they're all being rebuilt, but it'll maintain the look of the city, which is a good thing, definitely. Huh. That building works. Okie dokie. Right. Get another look at the Amstel locks here. Okay, and actually from here let's get some views of the Skinny Bridge without the barges in the way. Right. So that's the famous Skinny Bridge, or the Carre Bridge. I'll be crossing that in just a moment and talking about it, of course. All right. There's somebody making very exaggerated noises, having to cycle up this mountain of a humpbacked bridge. No, there are not a lot of cars out. It is Sunday. So yeah, not too many cars in the city. I noticed a lot of open parking spaces as well. Maybe everybody's gone out into the countryside for the nice weather. Who knows? Nice living on a houseboat on the Amstel. Not so nice being too deep, I suppose, you know, and having to cross somebody else's boat just to get to shore. Or being the one in the middle, frankly, because then you don't have any view. You're just looking at somebody else's porthole. But here, let's have a look at this bridge. So, 1, 2, 3, 4, plus the middle one, plus another 4. So it has 9 arches. And pretty much everyone knows this bridge. It's the Carre Bridge, as I said. Carre means skinny in Dutch. It's the same sort of derivative, no doubt, etymologically as meager. Carre, meager, skinny. And so much rubbish has been spoken about this bridge. Okay, but let's have a look at this. This is a replica of one of the original street lamps in Amsterdam. And by van der Heyden, what's his first name? Let me look at my notes, I forget. I know it so well, but Jan van der Heyden street lamp. So he was this wonderful inventor way back in the 1600s. He's the guy who sort of invented the leather fire hose and those early sort of pumps that took water out of the canals, and they could take the hose right to the fire. But he also developed street lamps, and he worked out the best combination of fuel so that they burnt well. He was quite a remarkable fella. And he was also a draftsman. He did some wonderful paintings of Amsterdam extremely accurately. So we have that sort of thing as a record. Great stuff. Again, this is a drawbridge, as you can see. This pole would come down, stop the traffic. The cars could actually go across this bridge all the way up to, got it here somewhere, 2003. Amazing, eh? Now it's just bicycles. Not even my little electric scooter is allowed over here, which I feel very annoyed about. So what I end up doing is I end up pushing it over instead of going all the way around. Just look up the Amstel, so that's a good view of the Amstel locks, the Amstel sloughs in there. Beautiful big sky. I was listening, I don't normally go back and watch things that I've done, but I did the other day, and I heard a bit of wind on the mic, and I realized that these are my mics, and I've been using them so long that the, oh, focus. It's jumped out of focus. Let me just do this. I've been using it so long that they've lost their fluffiness. And actually, sorry, let me just pin it back on. I need to work out how one washes them or something like that. So that's why I eventually worked out. You can hear a bit of the wind now sometimes. This is also the bridge that was featured in Diamonds Are Forever, James Bond film. There are a whole lot of silly stories about it. The most daft is that it's called the Skinny Bridge because there were miserly sisters who lived on either side and they wanted a bridge built so they didn't have to walk all the way around. It's just a silly, silly story. But people will tell these stories. I'm going to fall back to my default position of saying to guides, just prefix everything with legend has it, and then you can say anything you like. Just don't say it's true. So the first bridge here was planned for 1662. And the street leading up to this is Kerkstraat, Church Street. That it is over there. There's Kerkstraat. And this was going to be the Kerkstraatbrug, Church Street Bridge. And that was planned for 1662, but it was only built in 1691 because there was something called the rampjaar, the disaster year when the country was attacked from all sides. So the bridge was put on hold, and then there was a bit of a financial difficulties, so they just put in a little bridge with actually 13 arches. And that lasted quite some time, so from 1691 until 1871, long time. And then that was taken down, and the second bridge was put in for about 50 years. And then the third bridge in 1929, that was always intended as a temporary one. And then this one went in 1934. It's not that skinny. And it has been restored and renovated and had major works done to it on numerous occasions. So there's about 1,800 light bulbs on it. I always thought it was 1,200, but Wikipedia told me it was 1,800, and they're all LED lights now, so have been for quite some time as well. So nice and eco-friendly. And it's very pretty and very romantic. And yeah, they tend to obviously go under it on all the canal tours, most certainly on the evening ones. Okay, for a bonus prize, who wants to tell me what period these gables are? What architectural period is that gable? And we're not moving until someone gets it right. Okay, please help me here, work with me. We will move, but I'll just let you have a good look at it. So it's feathers. Feathery feathers. Feathers blowing in the wind. Okay, for the bonus prize. What period gable is that? Tariq, it's not Louis the 16th, and Sue, it's not Louis the 14th. Okay, but you're in the right ballpark. How's about that? Yes, Tom, Louis the 15th. I don't know whether you knew that or deduced it, but Tom gets the prize, and the prize is congratulations from me. Okay. So let's see. More gingerbread houses here, look. These always remind me of a ladies' choir, of all these ladies lined up together. It's more Rococo actually, Tariq. The Baroque was more Louis XIV. And then Louis XV gables anyway, here was like much more Rococo period. Anyway, so Wingbones was Dutch classicism. Wonderful period, about 1620 to 1690 or something like that. Anyway, next on the list is this very grand, imposing building here. And let me just see. This was built in 1681. And actually this style here is Dutch classicism. And it was built as a home for elderly women. Isn't it beautiful with the bridge on the right, and the lovely bit of blue sky? And that centerpiece is not actually an entrance. There's a little church behind there, or chapel rather. So it wasn't used as an entrance, it's just that a building with that size facade had to be symmetrical and had to have something at the middle that looked like an entrance. And actually I just want to spin us around here slowly so you don't get too dizzy. Sorry, I'm not doing a very good job of that, because I think it looks so pretty. I hope it comes out as pretty for you. Anyway, back to what was built as the Amstel Hof, because it's on the Amstel River, and Hof was a word often used. It means court, and actually that's a square building with courtyards in the middle, so Hof makes sense. But also it was for the elderly, which would traditionally be a sort of a Hof here. I'll come back to the flag in just a moment. So for elderly women. 1681, and then in 1718 that was expanded to elderly men and women. And then in more modern times it became a nursing home. And the last resident actually left in 2007. So pretty recent, huh? From 2009 it was known as the Hermitage, or Hermitage, as we say here, and that was affiliated with the Hermitage Museum in St. Petersburg. But because of the Russian invasion of Ukraine, it was chosen to break that link with the Hermitage, and that happened in 2003. And it now has a rather odd name of H''art, so like the heart. And it's affiliated with three major museums: the Pompidou Center from Paris, the British Museum, obviously in London, and the Smithsonian in DC. So, been a few changes. It's temporarily hosting the Amsterdam Museum, or part of the Amsterdam Museum collection, because that's closed for years-long renovations. Should be hopefully opening soon, because it's been closed for quite some time now. So, I went to the canal, but somebody was saying, what is the flag in a building? It must be here somewhere, presumably. Oh, you mean the flag on the Hermitage building? That's the Dutch flag. That's the only flag I can see. So it's flying sideways, but it has horizontal stripes, and the blue is at the bottom, and the white in the middle, and the red on top. Yeah. Unless you're flying it in protest, and then you fly it upside down. And that happened a lot some years ago with farmers protesting against government restrictions. So it was flown upside down all over the country. I was flying it upside down in my window because I support the farmers. So, what's next? Yeah, no, the Amsterdam one is with the same colours as the city crest. So it's black stripes with the red stripe in the middle and white X's. Okay, next historic building is 218 Amstel. Just a bit of a parking action going on here. Is he going to move? He's not going to move. Okay. Gee, rather. Oops. Okay, check out. Oh my. Here's my car. I forgot where I parked. Oh, that's handy, finding it like that. Okay. This rather remarkable house here, which I think she's going to try and park here, is 218 Amstel. Let's try and give you an overview of it. Oh, look at that wide angle. So how's that for grants? So here would be the entrance of the family, here would be the entrance of the staff. Story of this house. It's originally built in 1670 and it got the second floor, the top floor up there, a bit later in 1726, and that's when it got this Louis XIV facade. So kind of Baroque details above the door. It's home to the Six family, and so that's why it's most well known now, but it's not their historic family home. That was around the corner in the Herengracht, and that was actually demolished for street widening, astonishingly. So they bought this place in 1915, and actually they brought entire rooms with them. Ceilings and wall hangings, and I mean, it just remarkable. They just replicated a lot of the rooms in their own old house. Now this is the family that goes back, I think French Huguenots, to the early 1600s, and the first Baron Six was a friend of Rembrandt's, and Rembrandt painted a portrait of him, and actually it's hanging just behind that window on the left, and the portrait of his mom is hanging opposite the wall, on the opposite wall. Very, very different periods with Rembrandt. The one is of his mom is sort of the hyper-realistic period, and then the one of Baron Six the First was that much more loose, sort of mature style of Rembrandt. So it's just fantastic to be able to see them facing each other. If you want to visit, you just go to Six Collection, and then you'll see that you can apply to see the collection. It's at 10 a.m. Monday to Friday, and it doesn't actually cost anything, but you need to arrange it a long time in advance. And then this building next door is also a very well-known building, and beautiful front doors. So let me just look up my notes and I'll tell you when it was built. Okay, built 1671, and it's known as the House of the Blood, and it's the former home, obviously it's been the former home of very, very many people, but of Coenraad van Beuningen. He lived from 1662 to 1693. He was often the mayor of Amsterdam. There used to be 4 mayors at a time, so you can hardly move for mayors in Amsterdam history. Look at this front door, it's magnificent. Anyway, he married Bartolotti daughter, Jacoba Bartolotti. Now, I've shown you Bartolotti House on the Herengracht, so another very sort of established family. Anyway, she was something of a goer, and they didn't have a very happy marriage because she was of kind of loose morals, shall we say. And he ended up going mad, poor old chap. And years later, he's said to have written his wife's and his names in blood on the building. And we can have a look at that. Here's the Van Beuningen. Still marking the stone. And it's not in dispute. It is pretty much agreed historically that this chap is the person who either wrote this or had it put there. So Kabbalistic things as well. You'll see a ship here. But the thing is, the urban legend was that he cut himself and he did it with his blood, but actually it's been shown to be lead-based pigment, so it's not blood. But there's a ship, and again the name Van Beuningen. So he didn't have a very happy end to his life. He was kept bound in chains by his staff, so he couldn't go wandering around the streets. And all he left when he died was 1 or 2 pieces of furniture and a portrait by Rembrandt. Years ago, I ended up at a party, an after party from after clubbing and stuff in that place. It's been split into apartments. Beautiful, beautiful, wonderful place. Yeah, very sad. So here we have the Herengracht, Gentleman's Canal. There's coots chasing each other across the water. Coots are remarkably bad-tempered birds. They're forever chasing each other around. Oh, maybe that's spring coming. Who knows? But even when spring has sprung, they still chase each other around. Across the way there, the Walter Susskind Bridge, I've spoken about quite often on our walks around Amsterdam. It's a bridge named after this very great man, Walter Susskind, who was a German Jewish refugee here during the Second World War. And he was part of the Jewish Council, which was obviously a Jewish council that was made by the Nazis and had to implement the Nazi rules. Anyway, what he did is because he was German, he made friends, or pallied up to, not necessarily made friends with, a lot of the German officers and what have you, and he used that as a way of saving hundreds and hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of children's lives, unbeknownst to them, obviously. And then he was on the last train to Auschwitz, and he was probably killed in Auschwitz by fellow prisoners because they thought he was a collaborator, not knowing what he'd actually done. Tragic, tragic times. Now over here we have the Blauwe Brug, or the Blaubrug, the Blue Bridge. And the funny thing is it doesn't really look particularly blue. And the reason it's called the Blue Bridge is there was a wooden bridge that predated it, and that had blue railings. So it was just known as the Blue Bridge, but it was never actually blue. Even that one wasn't even blue. In 1883, there was a big sort of colonial exhibition here in Amsterdam, and the city wanted something a bit grander, you know, a really grand bridge. So this was inspired by the Alexander III Bridge in Paris. But they had to have shorter spans just to distribute the weight more evenly because of the soft ground here. Because if they'd had a big arch, then the bridge would have sunk into the mud. So let's try and get some nice details of the bridge. There's the Amsterdam crest as well. Habsburg crown on top. So the coots are courting. That does make sense. Get a good view of these. People often thought this bridge was a little bit too grand for Amsterdam. Criticism of it. King Willem III actually wanted to have the bridge named the Sophia Bridge after his wife, but it's clearly known as the Blue Bridge, so it just goes to show even if you're the king, you can't always get what you want. Right. Hoping the lighting will be a bit better this side. Looks like a Viking, doesn't it? And here, this part of the Amstel here is called the Binnen Amstel. The inner Amstel, and we're not going to be doing that because it's just about come up to time now. Maybe another day. And this monstrosity of a building over here is the City Hall, known as the Stopera, because that's a combination of the two words, the Stadhuis, the City House, City Hall, and the Opera. It's a combination of those two things. And the nickname that has been given for years is the Kunstgebied, because Kunstgebied means an art neighborhood, and Kunstgebied means a set of dentures. And that's what everyone thinks this looks like. Okay, and let's get a better view of the bridge over here. Yeah, very easy on the map today. This is true. So, say goodbye, but I don't want to have the City Hall as the background. I'd rather have this bridge as the background, so I'm just going to pan around. So thank you for joining, everybody. Thank you for all your donations, much appreciated. And yeah, it's good to be back, and I'm kind of posting slightly short notice, I know. It's a very busy time coming up with the tulips and everything, but I'm going to do my utmost to do something once a week, either on a Sunday or a Monday generally. So bye-bye everybody, take care. Thanks for joining. Bye. How do you do this again? Oh yeah, end.